Mom? Is that you?
You're there now. Just relax.
Yeah. Horrible nightmare. Dreamed that I went back in time. It was terrible.
Well, safe and sound now, back in good old 1955.
1955?
Mom? Oh, Rob. Just had an awful nightmare. I just dreamt we never finished filming Back to the Future.
We didn't finish Back to the Future.
What? I'm holding a VHS copy of my favorite movie of 1985, Back to the Future, starring Doc Hollywood and Dr. Kevin Casey, Michael J. Fox.
Rock and roll.
Tabor from Cuckoo's Nest, and Reverend Jim Ignatowski, Christopher Lloyd.
Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
The one-armed bellboy from Hot Tub Time Machine, Crispin Glover.
You really think I ought to swear? Yes, definitely. God damn it, George, swear.
And Officer Cornblow from Action Jackson, Tom Wilson as Biff.
What are you looking at, butthead?
In the time it takes to rewind this tape, I'm gonna answer all of your timely questions. Like, wait a minute, Doc. You're telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
If you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
And hold on. How did Doc come up with that idea for the flux capacitor?
You were standing on your toilet and you were hanging a clock and you fell and you hit your head on the sink. And that's when he came up with the idea for the flux capacitor.
And geez, you smoke cigarettes too?
Marty, you're beginning to sound just like my mother.
I answer all of these and more on the first ever sequel of VHS Breakdown.
It's a Ford with wheels.
It's an absolute dream.
I'm Miguel Jose. I own a ton of movies, but they're all on VHS. No one wants to buy them. I can't even give them away. So I'm gonna watch these films and break them down one last time.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
What do you mean you've seen this? It's brand new.
Yeah, well, I saw it on a rerun.
It's a rerun.
And we're back. And it's a good thing too, because it's time to talk about the Fish Under the Sea dance.
No, it was the Enchantment Under the Sea dance.
But we're at the dance, and the band that's playing has to go take a break.
We're gonna take a little break, but we'll be back in a while, so don't nobody go nowhere.
And by take a break, I mean go to their car and smoke their ballines off. And there's two things to learn from this scene. First, never call a black person a racial slur until you know how many of his friends are in the car.
Hey, beat it, Spook. This don't concern you.
Who you calling spook, Peckerwood?
And secondly, never mess with people when they're smoking weed.
Look, I don't want to mess with no reefer addicts, okay?
You think they would have learned that after what happened to the LaRusso kid. So Marty finally ends up alone in the car with his mom.
Marty, I'm almost 18 years old. It's not like I've never parked before.
What?
And they really built up to this makeout scene the entire movie.
Are you trying to tell me that my mother has got the hots for me? What?
But Marty and his mom finally hook up. And as expected, it's a little awkward. And hot.
This is all wrong.
Which makes sense to me.
Believe me, it makes perfect sense.
Before the incest gets too creepy though, Biff barges in to try and finish off the rape attempt.
Well, looky what we have here.
I mean, Biff already attempted murder when he tried to run over him with his car.
I'm gonna get that son of a bitch.
Are we that surprised that now he's committing sexual assault?
Come on, well, go on, this ain't no peep show.
Although, speaking of that car scene, how was Biff gonna try to get his money back from Marty?
I'm gonna take it out of your ass.
Out of where?
Your ass.
And you know, I always thought George was really brave for the way he stood up to Biff and punched him in the face. Wham! But if you notice, in Back to the Future 2, Biff's pouring alcohol in that punch bowl at the dance. The same punch we see George drinking from in the movie. So maybe he wasn't that brave. Maybe he was just drunk and had a bunch of beer muscles. We've all been there before.
No, Biff. You leave her alone.
So George knocks out Biff. But can someone tell me why he gets his girl stolen from that dorky kid at the dance?
Scrap, McFly. Cutting in.
I mean, you just knocked out the biggest bully of your life, and now the squeaky-voiced teen from The Simpsons gonna steal your girl? But George gets the girl, Marty saves the day, and we find out that Chuck Berry stole the song Johnny Be Good.
You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this!
So then it's finally time for the big storm scene at the clock tower. Although we probably should have seen Emmett Brown hanging from that clock coming, because they foreshadow it in the very first scene of the movie. But Marty finally gets back to the 80s, and we realize this when Marty sees the town drunk Red, who was the former mayor of Hill Valley.
Red, you were great.
And it's sad to see what happens to the mayor, but it's even more depressing to realize what happened to Biff. I mean, one punch, and the guy becomes a flaming homosexual.
I'm sorry, Mr. McFly. I meant I was just starting on the second course.
And we also know he's back home in the 80s by the delightful movie that's playing in the town center. Orgy, American style. And finally, the movie ends with a to-be-continued crazy cliffhanger, which wasn't in the original theatrical release. It was only later added on to the VHS copy, because it was originally supposed to be just a joke, and they weren't supposed to make any sequels. Kinda like this episode. Honestly, you'd have to be a real asshole to think that this movie should be done in more than one part.
What happens to us in the future? We're gonna become assholes or something?
Well, looks like the tape's done rewinding, and it's a good thing too, because this time, I'm not gonna be late for band practice.
Oh, Miguel, thank God you're here. There was a problem with the tape. We're gonna have to reshoot the entire episode.
We gotta film this episode again?
I'm sorry, it's my fault.
Oh, Jesus, you're an asshole. Alright, let's do this. Where are my pants?